Hey everybody, happy Easter. We're gonna go over some cool stuff I found today. Not today, but stuff I've been collecting, stuff I'm gonna show off now because it's cool and I found it. So, here we are. We're gonna pan over here and change it a little bit. I'm keeping some of this stuff in the butler's pantry. You know, you're already getting some use out of it. So this is something that was found when we moved in. It was right on the stove. Super cool. Old china made, it says made in Finland right on the back there. Super cool. Like an old bowl. And then my brother, while we were tearing a wall apart, found this really ornate Victorian door hinge that was just in the wall and fell out. So that was pretty cool. Hopefully we'll find the rest of it. And we found, unfortunately there's no tags. I think this one says McCormick, but they're old wooden sewing thread spools. So I found three of those so far. Pretty cool. This was actually in the ceiling of the kitchen. So this is actually cardboard, and it is patented July 1st, 1879, and it's made by Egbert Fidlar and Chambers of Davenport, Iowa. This is made by the Tilden Manufacturing Company, and it's really cool because I don't know if you can see it on camera, but on this side, it's in English. And on this side is actually in German. So that's super cool that it's still, you know, it's still one piece. And for being, what is that, 140 years old, give or take? Super cool. And then I think this is the coolest newspaper that I've found, because I've been finding bits of old newspaper all over the place in the house. And this is the Superior Telegram newspaper, so it's the local paper. And this talks about, unfortunately I don't have the whole article, but it's I looked up the date. And this is reported January 27th, 1915. So the fact that this still, I can, move this around is nuts. I mean, it's a 110-year-old piece of paper that's been shoved in a wall for the past 110 years. This talks about the Battle of Dogger Bank, which any history buffs out there know was the first naval engagement between Britain and the Germans in World War I. So crazy, 110 years ago that World War I was just starting out. And it's also talking about the Ottoman army marching on Egypt. Just crazy cool. It's got like this old map on the back. Crazy cool. So, is it valuable? No, not really. Is it cool? I certainly think so because I love history. So, super cool piece. And probably one of the cooler pieces from a standpoint, because as a boy, every boy knows that when you're little, you make wooden swords. And I actually found this in the attic when I was kind of poking around. And this is a little boy's wooden sword. I have no idea how old it is, but it's tacked together with some pretty old nails. And they whoever it was, kind of carved the handle a little bit. But, I mean, I remember making stuff like this when I was a little kid. Going around and you fight your brothers and stuff. So, this was either James Ritchie the Third, or James the Second's probably little boyhood sword that he made himself to play with. So I think that's pretty cool. So it's going to stay in the cabinet. So, a little update on the work that we're doing is we're still doing demo. Was going to do a little walkthrough, but I mean, you guys have seen enough demo to last a lifetime. I think I'm going to start doing time lapses through the week, so it's just speed run in like a minute or so of what I've been doing all week, so you guys can actually see it. Been debating on showing this on the channel or not, but we're actually going to go out to what I've been calling the shed or the cottage. It was attached to the house at one point and will be again eventually. You know, everything takes time, and big problem right now is time and money. So it's been a little bit of a struggle trying to replan and rethink everything, trying to bring it back to its old Victorian era. But we're going to go look at some stuff that I found in that shed cottage when I first bought the place, and we'll just have a little peek. So stand by and just wait for it. We're gonna be out there in 3, 2, 1. Bam! Damn, I'm good at this teleporting stuff, aren't I? So we are now in the shed cottage. Really depends on the day of what I call it. So this is it's one room. And in the attic of this little thing, we found hundreds. I swear it's got to be hundreds of ledgers. And some of them are like these big giant ones that you have behind me. We've got smaller ones. We've got city directories. Mainly business books. They're not like regular books, I guess. They're more ledgers because James II ran an abstract and title company, 1880, 1890, early 1900 time frame here in Superior, and was pretty much the primary guy to go to if you needed to buy land here in Superior in that time. So some crazy cool books that we found. Some of them are in pretty rough shape because they've been sitting up in an attic for 80 years, 100 years, however long they've been up there. Found some cool stuff. I'm going to step off camera and grab it really quick. So, right off the bat, we have this is a driver's license for the state of Wisconsin, dated 1928. Which is interesting because they didn't require driver's licenses in the state of Wisconsin until 1927. And this is immaculate, mint shape, almost 100 years old. Super cool. And then we also found some Reserve Officers Association cards for James Ritchie II. He was a lieutenant as a reserve, quartermaster reserve here in Superior, which the Reserve Officers Association is still there to this day. It's still an active association and advocates for reserve, active duty, rights and benefits and stuff like that. Similar to the VA, but not quite as hands-on in service member healthcare type stuff. So that's pretty cool. And a few other things that I thought were really cool and really interesting is this is another one that I found, and it's the Knights of Columbus, or aka kind of the Catholic Church type stuff, as far as I'm aware. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. But it's talking about Bolshevism in Mexico, which I think was strange that it's up here and they're talking about that in Mexico. Pretty strange. That one's dated, I forget, sometime in the 1920s. And then another thing I thought was super cool, because I like firearms, I'm kind of a gun weirdo, is this is a letter to James Ritchie II from the Colt Patent Firearms Manufacturing Company. Everyone knows Colt. And it's dated 1929. So James Ritchie had written a letter to the Colt Firearm Company, and he actually kept pretty much every bill and letter that he ever sent. And this is one that he kept. And so this is another, letter that's 100 years old and still in great shape, all things considered. So we found some crazy amounts of books. Like this here is huge. I mean, this thing is ginormous. And we have the old map of Superior. So it's plot maps of the city of Superior. A whole book. Unfortunately, it's kind of bent out of shape. Makes it hard to open and close. And then we have these, which are old canvas hardcover ledgers, and they contain really fragile typewriter paper, and it's business records that were typed up on the old typewriters. These are incredibly heavy, but some of them are in really great shape, like this one is, but some of them are really, really in bad shape, unfortunately. But this is just a big giant business ledger. It's just tons of these, and it's super cool, and it's going to be really fun to take the time and slowly go through all these old books and ledgers once I get a little bit more free time. So that's where we're at with everything cool that we found so far. I'm sure I'll be making more videos again in the future on the cool stuff I find when I start ripping all the rest of the walls out. But yeah, so hopefully you guys tune in again next week. I'll have more time lapse of actual work being done. Hopefully you guys like that. And yeah, that's all I got for this week of cool stuff to show you. Tune in again next week for videos of labor. Thanks. Like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps me out. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers within the first year. So, because the goal of this channel is, 1, to let you guys know what I'm doing with this Victorian renovation, and number 2, hopefully maybe get this channel monetized, maybe get me a videographer to do a better job on the videos here and help fund this house restoration. Thanks. Catch you guys next week.